Hi everybody and welcome to City Beat. I'm your host Nancy Byrne and we are in the Arts District in downtown Las Vegas, an area of our city that starred prominently in Mayor Carolyn Goodman's 2021 State of the City address. You may have noticed the address was held a little differently this year. Thank you, coronavirus. We had to do it virtually, but to make sure that it was still eye-catching and exciting while still making sure the mayor's message came through was a lot of work, and I think we pulled it off. It's tradition. Every January, city stakeholders and business leaders gather together for the mayor's State of the City address. Over the years, locations for the address have varied, and there was 2012 when Mayor Carolyn Goodman presented the address later in the spring due to the move to the new City Hall. But it's always been a big event, requiring a lot of work for many city departments. Well, this year, thanks to the pandemic, the filled-to-capacity chambers were replaced by a sparsely populated KCLV-TV studio.
Thank you all for joining us this evening as we take a look at our great city today.
The decision to go virtual for the address was made to protect residents, city leaders, and city staff.
I can't recall ever having to face something like this before. Always in the past, the State of the City's done live. We have a live audience. It's live on television. This year, there's no way we could bring all those people into chambers. It just wouldn't be safe. So we had to think differently, like everyone has had to do over this past year. We had to do the same for State of the City.
It may have been done differently this year, but it was still done with great attention to the mayor's message and how it was presented via green screen in the studio. A different kind of effort took place to assure the address was just as special as it would have been if presented live in front of hundreds of guests. Producer Melissa Duran worked hand in hand with the mayor's office, the Office of Communications, Video Services, and production specialist Steve Horlock to make the recorded speech shine visually.
And you have to understand, the mayor, this is new for the mayor too. She's used to having people in attendance for her State of the City. So it's a different feel for all of us, and it's definitely a learning curve for all of us.
So it started with the mayor in front of this green background in the studio, otherwise known as the green screen.
The coronavirus pandemic has meant many changes for all of us, and it's why I'm delivering the 2021 State of the City for a change virtually.
But eventually ended up looking like she was standing in front of this regal City of Las Vegas background. Then the task of adding beautiful video, still photos, drone shots, graphics, and music began.
So this is a rough cut of the State of the City, and so I have to go through all 1 hour of it so far and go through and look to see if there's anything that doesn't mesh well, doesn't vibe well, if there's any editing issues, I need to make sure that the video matches up with what the mayor is talking about. So it's a very detailed process.
The final hour-long speech needed to strike a delicate balance between being visually eye-catching without taking away from the mayor's message. The two had to complement each other in order to work well.
Well, unlike a normal State of the City, you have a crowd to react to the mayor's jokes. You have a crowd to react to great announcements, to clap at the right times, to ooh and ah, or to, mourn together if there's sad news. There's nobody in here with her. So it's really incumbent upon me and my editor to keep the audience attention, to make sure they're listening to the important things she's saying about the future of Las Vegas.
So was this the ideal way of presenting the State of the City address? Maybe not. But the mayor and the team that pulled it off made sure the importance of her message didn't get lost, in spite of the unprecedented challenges posed by a pandemic.
So let us remain constant in our commitment to our city and to each other, and thank one another for standing firm, standing together to reclaim our lives, our dignity and integrity, and commitment to all of the tomorrows ahead.
We've all had to do things differently, from virtual learning, all the students that are out there doing. We've had Zoom meetings over this past year. State of the City was exactly the same thing. We had to think differently about how to present it. Again, the mayor's message is the same, but how we presented it this year different because of COVID-19.
You can only imagine how unusual that must have felt to Mayor Goodman. She's used to doing that address in front of a live crowd and getting their reactions, but she did a great job, as did everyone else who had a hand in making it a success. Well, as we do every year, we like to pull a few excerpts out of the speech to give you an idea of what she talked about. Now, this year, she talked about a lot, from big businesses like Circa and the Dean moving forward with huge projects during this challenging year, as well as smaller businesses opening up during the pandemic. We're going to touch more on that in just a little bit. She also talked about public safety and steps the city took to protect our residents and our businesses. Here's a taste of her address 2021.
We stand beside you in full support. The city reallocated many of its staff to work cleaning parks as part of the Healthy Parks program, making sure that outdoor spaces were clean, sanitized, and still inviting to the public. Our parks attendance flourished. We have also focused on our most vulnerable populations through projects like constructing the temporary ISOQ, Isolation and Quarantine Complex at Cashman. The complex, created and made operative in a record 3 weeks' time, served 245 people from April through June. All of these amenities have increased the demand to visit and even live in the Arts District, where a new boutique hotel is being built on Main, just north of Charleston, or to reside in the new shared downtown apartments, which are now open thanks to developer Sam Cherry. Nearby in Symphony Park, we'll soon see the opening of nearly 600 new residential units this year in 2021, developed by Southern Land Company out of Tennessee and Aspen Heights from Texas. Both are 5-story developments that will include a combined 26,000 square feet of ground floor retail space. In addition, we have more than 29,000 square feet of retail space on the ground floors of the 2 new Symphony Park parking garages. We are also well underway in the largest public works project in the history of our city's hub, the $109 million Las Vegas Boulevard Improvement Project, which stretches from Sahara Avenue north to US 95. When complete, we will have a sparkling new roadway that will be a source of community pride and of greatest excitement, and news already in the design phase is the new circular pedestrian bridge planned for Las Vegas Boulevard and Sahara Avenue. What a huge improvement for safety and traffic this bridge will make for that very, very busy intersection. A favorite part of the Las Vegas Boulevard project has already been completed and has quickly become a new Las Vegas Regal marker, the Gateway Arches, which were officially lit in November to mark the path into our historic and vibrant downtown. At the city, we realized that without being a safe city, no one would come here, would live here, invest here, raise families, and enjoy life here. Obviously, then, our top priority remains public safety. We realize that to provide this service, it demands best practices, the continuous assessment for having the finest programs, employing top personnel, providing for the highest level of equipment and technology, and being able to remain flexible for making changes as they are needed. What we enjoy could not be possible without the full-time support of our fine first responders, public safety providers, and law enforcement personnel for their full-time commitment to do their jobs protecting us, our properties, and our entire community.
The mayor also talked about the many accomplishments by our 6 city council members, and she touched on public safety. She introduced you to our new fire chief for Las Vegas Fire and Rescue, Jeff Buchanan, as well as Louis Molina, who is the new chief for the Department of Public Safety. We are going to introduce you to them further on future City Beats. If you'd like to see the speech in its entirety, it is on the city's Facebook page. Well, as we mentioned, the mayor talked about the small businesses that pushed forward and managed to open during this challenging year. We are going to highlight a few when we come back.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Our family is no less than any other family.
My heart doesn't see race.
Love is love.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it here. So what are you waiting for? Just go to the site.
Welcome back to City Beat from the Arts District in downtown Las Vegas. Let's face it, the coronavirus really took a toll on our world. So many lives were lost and livelihoods destroyed. So imagine being a small business owner who has already set into motion your dream of opening a business or a restaurant. Well, that happened to a lot of business owners here in Las Vegas, but they showed their resilience and managed to open up when much of the world was still shut down.
Well, I'll tell you that no business plan until 2020 happened included a pandemic.
Kim Owens worked and excelled in the high-end corporate restaurant world for decades, but it was always her dream to open her own establishment, a dream she put into motion here with Main Street Provisions in the Arts District of downtown Las Vegas about 2 years ago. Never did she imagine halfway into the project this booming downtown area would be brought to its knees by COVID-19 and the shutdown of our world as we know it. So when a partial reopening was issued by the state, she made a decision.
There's the philosophy that I could have waited until we had more seats than 37 at a time. But instead, I decided to open and forge ahead. I was able to employ 22 people, most of whom were not working throughout the entire year. So now those folks are employed and making money.
On this day, as they prep for dinner guests, you could see just some of those benefiting from her decision to move forward at this difficult time. Moreover, a decision by Owens and chef Justin Kinsley Hall to utilize mostly local businesses with an emphasis on sustainability. Their impact actually reaches beyond the kitchen.
We take it all the way from the farm or the ranch. We bring it into our house. And then every week, as we get our produce order from the local farm, Desert Blooms Eco Farm out in Pahrump, he actually leaves with compost. We are trying to have as small a footprint as possible.
Even the art is locally grown.
I found 3 local artists that were truly helpful to get this dream achieved. One is a 70-foot long by 10-foot tall mural created by Caitlin Seville. It's called Resilient Seeds of Life.
This piece was created by Randy Mendry. It's called Stargazing with You. And in keeping with the restaurant's commitment to sustainability, it repurposes old steel pipes to transform this wall into art. Heather Toledo painted murals in the restrooms, giving brightness and beauty to even the smaller rooms. Owens is not the only daring entrepreneur in this area of downtown. Many chose to open up in these trying times, from craft beer establishments like Huddle and Cerveza, and other eateries like Letty's. And this, the second Good Pie restaurant by Vincent Rotolo. He already had a small pizza shop on Las Vegas Boulevard, so his dream to add this larger one in the Arts District could have been put on ice. Thank you, coronavirus. But he, like others, chose to move forward for the community.
The whole world has been suffering, and if we can just give that glimmer of hope, that one satisfying meal, that really delicious pizza, it just makes people happy. And spreading happiness is something that, you know, we all are committed to doing. And our team, you know, we created 22 new jobs in a community where that was like stricken by, you know, job depravity. So we're very, very excited about that.
That doesn't mean he didn't face unique challenges brought on by the pandemic.
Just the sanitation and the strict health department guidelines, you know, the limited occupancy, and we're utilizing our slice window and takeout, and we're not allowing any dine-in service. So that's kind of just how we started.
He says the window service was a lifesaver, enabling him to serve up slices while keeping customers safe and outdoors. Nearly all the businesses in the Arts District are mom and pop shops. So while opening a new place or staying open for the established places on a restricted basis may not be the road to riches for them, the owners believe it will pay off in the long run by keeping people employed, maintaining or building a fan base, and keeping this area alive. There's a unique support system here. The businesses welcome each other. So instead of putting everything on hold during this pandemic, they've shown working together and moving forward breathes life into an area that was just being reborn.
Development of the Arts District, particularly Main Street, was actually building so much momentum prior to the pandemic that the challenges we faced, it just couldn't stop all the momentum we had.
I've never felt more supported in the community than with these business owners and operators. The fact that every business in the Arts District is not part of a corporation and they are mom and pop, so to speak. They are independent owners and operators and live and die by the sword, basically. The fact that they are there to help lift all of us up shows what a community can do when they pull together.
Those two entrepreneurs are not alone. A lot of businesses did open up in the downtown area during the pandemic, like Letty's, Huddle, Cerveza, and we covered them all here on Channel 2, along with some others. Now, we right now are on California, in between Casino Center and Main, where there are some boutique establishments that actually got their start before the pandemic, like Esther's Kitchen, Garage East. Now, they may have had time before the pandemic to build up their fan base, but they still had to think outside the box to survive, keep their staff employed, and keep their customers happy. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to tell you about a law that only about half of our population knows about, and it's to protect some of the most vulnerable on our streets.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
I'm a husband. I'm a father.
I am a wife and daughter.
I'm a mother.
A daughter.
I'm a grandfather.
I am a daughter.
I'm a father. We are cyclists.
We are cyclists.
We are cyclists.
On December 10th, 2020, 5 Southern Nevada cyclists were killed and 4 others injured in an avoidable accident. Please, don't drive impaired. Share the road and...
No more ghost bikes.
No more ghost bikes.
No more ghost bikes.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Welcome back to City Beat from downtown Las Vegas. You know, we were reminded the end of December of last year just how vulnerable our cyclists are when a truck veered off the road, hitting a group of cyclists on a trip just south of Las Vegas, killing 5. It was a horrific event, but actually cyclists face dangers everywhere, every day. That's why a law was established to try to protect them. Well, shortly after this tragedy, several law enforcement agencies got together and decided to remind, or in some cases inform, motorists of why this law is so important. December 10th, 2020 is a day that will always be remembered, not only by our tight-knit cycling community, but by all of us. 5 cyclists killed after a truck veered off the road, tragically ending this annual 130-mile journey just south of Las Vegas. The driver, Jordan Barson, now faces several charges after methamphetamine was found in his system.
Everybody make it.
Law enforcement decided this might be a good time to remind people to watch out for cyclists and to make sure we all share the road.
This is something that, unfortunately, our statistics for cyclist fatalities are up 30% so far this year. In 2019, we had 7 fatalities. So far this year, we're at 10.
At this press conference held by several police agencies in our state, we were reminded giving cyclists a safety barrier is not only the right thing to do, it's the law.
We do have laws that, unfortunately, the motoring public is not aware of. We did a study earlier this year that showed that only 49% of the motoring public is aware of the 3-foot law, and as well as moving over a full lane when you can for cyclists.
This media event went a step beyond just asking the press to spread the word on the 3-foot law. They were going to spend the next couple of hours getting the word out to drivers on the road. Sergeant Michael Campbell with the Clark County School District Police Department geared up with a laser and a police radio and headed out on his bike. Police were on standby. If any vehicle came within less than 36 inches from his left, he alerted officers and they moved in.
Go and pull forward into the parking lot, please.
The law states that you have to give a bicyclist 3 feet of space. If there is an open lane next to the bicyclist, it's your duty to move over lanes.
Motorist after motorist was pulled over, not just so these officers could hand out tickets. They were more interested in handing out advice and educating the drivers.
A lot of people are actually unaware of the law and don't know that they have to either move over or give the bicyclist 3 feet.
The December tragedy may have involved DUI, but on our busy streets, something as simple as being distracted by your phone, by eating, or kids in the back seat can result in injury or death to these vulnerable riders. Sergeant Campbell says always be aware of your surroundings of cyclists and pedestrians. Remember, 1 second of distraction, being careless, or not giving that safety barrier can change or even end a life.
When you're seeing somebody on the roadway, if you're seeing a runner, you're seeing a cyclist, put that in your mind. This could be my mother, this could be my grandmother. You know, give them some room. These are human beings, because one small mistake can last a lifetime, and we don't want that for anybody.
Once again, you need to try to give cyclists 3 feet by moving a little over to your left, even your left lane if possible. Now, of course, if there's oncoming traffic, that's probably not a good idea, so slow down behind the cyclists until it is possible. Let's talk about a big need in our community right now, and that is blood donations. It's always needed, but it's needed more thanks to the pandemic. I'm sure that you know how recipients of that blood benefit, but I'm betting you don't know some of the benefits bestowed upon the donors, that is, until now. Donating blood is a simple act that takes on average about an hour of your time, but that simple act goes a long way to save lives. Blood donations are always needed, but right now, as more people are hesitant to leave their homes, the supply is lower than normal.
1 pint of blood can help anywhere from 3 to 6 people, just with 1 pint. Because they can use different parts of the blood. They can take plasma, they can take platelets, or they can use the whole blood itself.
The pandemic has not only taken a bit of a hit on the supply, it has prompted an entirely new reason why donations are needed even more right now, particularly if you have had the coronavirus. I had the chance to talk with Jennifer Sparks of the Red Cross, who tells us why that segment of the population is highly encouraged to donate blood now.
The American Red Cross provides 40% of the nation's blood supply. That's a pretty significant number. Within that number, within that amount of blood that's being donated on the daily by citizens across the United States and right here in Southern Nevada is convalescent plasma. So convalescent plasma is when somebody has had COVID-19, their body is creating antibodies that have helped them fight off the infection. The American Red Cross can take out that convalescent plasma and then give that to hospitals to use as a way to help patients who are currently fighting COVID-19 really kind of fight off that infection. It gives the immune system a little bit of an extra boost to help them recover.
Sparks says the procedure for donating convalescent plasma is no different than the procedure for blood donations. You just need to be recovered from the virus and feeling well.
Like I said, it's exactly the same as a blood donation. It's exactly the same process. We just have a slightly different mechanism for taking out that convalescent plasma on our end and making sure then that that's getting shipped off to hospitals who need it most.
So we know how recipients of the plasma or blood benefit from the life-saving donations, but what you may not know is by donating, you will be doing yourself and your health a great service, especially if you are a man or menopausal woman.
Every time you donate blood, you're getting rid of excess iron. And in men, it'll reduce their risk of heart attack by 4 times. And in women, it reduces your risk of breast, liver, and colon cancers just by donating blood. So, and as you get rid of the old blood cells, your body creates new, more flexible blood cells, and they can fit into the little capillaries better, so it gives you better circulation in your body.
And while helping to prevent heart disease and many cancers makes donating even more appealing in itself, there's this.
And you also burn like 650 calories making new blood after you donate. So it does help you physically and mentally to donate blood. It's definitely important.
You can donate blood as often as every 56 days or approximately 2 months. And you can go to redcrossblood.org. And of course, United Blood Services also conducts blood drives to sign up and get more information. I also asked Jennifer if having the vaccine would preclude you from being able to donate, and she said absolutely not. Well, that does it for this City Beat. We want to thank you for joining us. Welcome 2021, and here's to a better year than last year.